here for Seconds Out with Eddie Hearn, of course, here in Nottingham. Fight week begins now. How are you, Eddie?
Feeling good, mate. Back from Vegas and looking forward to particularly the big two fights on the top of the card this week. Spicing up nicely and a lot on the line, and looking forward to it.
How do you sum up this main event? Of course, meant to be Wood Lara, but still a good fight in Maxi Hughes versus Kick Gallagher.
Really good fight. Look, we're all gutted that Wood Lara fell through because we'd sold 9,000 tickets and it was one of the best cards we put on this year, and obviously when you lose a fight like that, it's nothing no one can do, and you really got the decision to pull the card or to make sure that the fighters can fight. Like I said, we've still got two big title fights on the card, one unified world championship as well, so it's a good card, but obviously missing Wood Lara, but pleased to be able to give the fighters the opportunity, because it's a horrible phone call to have to make when a fighter's been training for 8, 10, 12, 14 weeks and don't get the opportunity to fight and get paid. So glad we're going ahead and looking forward to it.
And in the co-main, I presume you assume Terry Harper gets the job done, but it's a good domestic fight.
It's a really good fight. I mean, obviously they're both domestic fights, if you like. You know, Maxi Hughes, who's on a great run, and Kid Galahad, after getting crushed by Kiko Martinez, comes straight back at 2 divisions higher. And we knew that 126 was just a step too far for him now, but to go up to 135 against a lightweight that's on good form, it's a Yorkshire derby, there's plenty on the line. Kid Galahad, really, I guess his career's on the line in this fight. And ranking Harper's a fascinating fight, because Terry Harper trying to become a 2-division world champion, but not doing it up at lightweight, where we thought she might end up, doing it at light middleweight. We've seen Tasha Jonas do it, and there's a difference between just moving up and weighing 154 pounds and being a light middleweight. She's not a light middleweight yet, and Rankin is full of confidence and can punch as well. And there's a big step up on the card for Cyrus Patterson as well. Chev Clark's in a really good fight. Junaid Boston, Solomon Dacre's in a tough fight. So it's a good card, but obviously the two standout fights sit at the top.
How much do you rate Chev Clark? Because it was not random, he's obviously your fighter, but when you brought him up in that Jake Paul incident a few months ago, obviously you have to rate him, because there's so many fighters you do have that you could have brought up in that moment.
Yeah, he's a cruiserweight. Jake Paul said he'll fight any of our cruiserweights under, 9 fights or 6 fights, and he was that guy. He's an Olympian, he's got an outstanding amateur pedigree, he's very exciting, he can punch very hard, he's a great character, he's a good man. And I like Chev Clark a lot. I think he's going to go places, and I think he's going to move quite quickly. He's got a tough fight on Saturday, actually, and I think we want to show that this is the speed that we're going to be progressing in, because I'd like to see him up at 10 rounds fairly soon. People are already talking about him fighting the likes of Vasil Dukai, who you saw fight Jordan Thompson and people like that, and I think he's going to move quickly.
Okay, can we talk about yesterday? Obviously, the Twitter spat with Leonard earlier. It was so British from your response. How did you? Just talk about that.
It's like, obviously, there's a lot of people talking a lot of shit yesterday, and you have to understand, it really is me against the world. And I'm not saying that arrogantly. That's just the facts, and that's quite flattering. But also, when it's that way, you can't just sit there and take shit, especially when people are telling lies, and also people have agendas. So I just thought to myself, I'll have a bit of fun with it. The blood pressure was never over 120 or whatever it's supposed to be. I just thought, I'm going to have a bit of fun with it. And actually the stuff with Leonard was quite reasonably light-hearted for us as well. But I don't know, I think people have got such a distorted opinion of me. When Leonard says he hasn't done anything, he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, we're just coming off the back of Canelo against Triple G. We're coming off the back of AJ against Usyk. We're coming off the back of Canelo Bivol. We're coming off the back of filling up MSG for Taylor Serrano. We've got Bivol Ramirez coming up in Abu Dhabi. We've got our first event in Australia coming up on October the 15th. We're in Mexico on October 22nd. Now we've got Katie Taylor October 29th. We're trying to negotiate AJ Fury. No one's doing what we're doing, and Leonard seems to think that he's responsible for all these iconic moments of the past, but I see none. So that's why I said, ultimately, he carries Floyd's jockstrap, and that's what I bantered about. But I think Leonard is starting to understand the banter and sarcasm a little bit. So hopefully he was laughing too, because nothing's meant to be nasty, but people love that shit. My phone last night was blowing up. The WhatsApp was like, oh my God, what are you doing? Are you having a beer? I'm like, no, I'm just sitting at home having a laugh with these people. Lou DiBella, Dan Raphael, but people have agendas, and, particularly when you see the pay-per-view numbers and stuff like that. Dan Raphael's getting figures before even the reporting's done, because someone's feeding him with numbers that they want to leak out there. And really, as a journalist, you should know better. But when you don't work for a credible outlet, you can really say what you want. And that's what Dan chose to do last night.
Do you think this kind of comes from a bit of jealousy because you're crossing over from the UK, but you're going to do massive shows, the biggest shows over in America now as well?
Of course, jealousy. But look, I'm not saying people want to be me or anything like that, but you can't, like look at the track record, look at the resume. Pictures, images, footage doesn't lie. Look at the shows, look at what we're doing globally. So, you know, for Leonard to say, like, he doesn't know what he's doing and what has he ever done? Like, again, that's why I just had to say what I said, you know, and but it's also very flattering that literally all of these people are ganging up against me. And that's the worst thing you could do, because it makes me more determined than ever to succeed. And funny, because we are just, originally a little family business from Romford. And I'm going to all these shows like I was last week, looking at the weigh-in with more people there than most Mayweather promotion shows, and just saying, I can't believe how far we've come. But it's just the beginning. But, you know, there's a lot of agendas in boxing, and it's a filthy game sometimes, you know, with people ganging up and trying to do this, block that, but at the same time it keeps you on your toes.
Okay, just quickly, just to recap the weekend, massive show over in Vegas. How did you assess the fight? Obviously, there was a bit of some people, or most people, disagreed with the scorecards, but the right decision was made, and obviously Canelo was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought the fight was decent. It wasn't spectacular. I mean, it certainly wasn't as good as the first one and second one, but you know, sometimes fights don't play out as you expect. I think Triple G started slow. He didn't take enough chances, and Canelo Alvarez boxed fantastically well for the first 7 or 8 rounds. And won the fight convincingly to me. You know, I gave Triple G 2, maybe 3 rounds. But I guess there was a few close rounds, like, you know, looking back even at the first, nothing really happened. I guess you could give Canelo Alvarez that round and maybe a couple of others. But, you know, obviously the right man won, and good to see Canelo Alvarez back to winning ways.
Okay, most people watching this want to know the latest on Joshua Fury. We spoke to Frank yesterday on Seconds Out, and he mentioned how obviously over the weekend the team would have been busy with the Canelo fight, but had a few days since now. Do you know when the contract will be sent back, if so? No,
there was a lot that wasn't right with the contract, and obviously that would, you know, it's not unusual when you first get sent a contract.
What was that?
I'm not going to go into backwards and forwards, but, you know, we couldn't move forward on that basis. But since then, have had positive conversations. We're restructuring that contract, and time is of the essence, because, you know, they're putting pressure on us to say we need to move forward. Obviously, we need things to be right as well, and we're not looking to be difficult either. But everyone seems to be moving in the right direction. Joshua wants the fight. He's training for the fight. Could time stop us? Maybe. I hope not. Depends how quickly everyone moves, and, you know, how serious they are as well. Because, like I said, from our point of view, we're not playing games here. He's ready to take the fight.
How much is the broadcasting rights going to be an issue, do you believe?
That's an issue for sure, and that's something that's a little bit out of our hands, and I'm talking about Matchroom and Queensberry's hands, because BT and DAZN have got to get together and work that out. Obviously ESPN in America as well, same thing. So, but again, no one's saying no, we're not doing that. We're not going to have those conversations. But the contract's got to be right as well at the same time, and, you know, it's a split, it's a co-promotion. You know, there's many different issues to be addressed within the contract, but we want it to happen, and so do they. And honestly, like, you know, you'd think that the back and forward between Matchroom and Queensberry would be spicy, or, you know, but it's not. Generally, like, the conversations have been good. Everyone's trying to work proactively to get it done.
I spoke to Robert Garcia before the Canelo fight, and he mentioned he would like AJ to have 1 or 2 before the Fury fight. What do you think of that?
I think in an ideal world, that's sensible. You know, you're coming off 2 defeats, you're stepping in with another great heavyweight, but also we may never get the opportunity again to fight Tyson Fury, and AJ's always wanted to fight Tyson Fury, so he's prepared to take that challenge now. We think he can beat him. We wouldn't be taking the fight otherwise. Yeah, of course, we'd like to come in with a couple of wins, but also maybe this is the time where they will take the fight because they think it's a good time to fight Anthony Joshua. Maybe they're right, but AJ wants to take the challenge. He wants to fight Tyson Fury. He believes he can beat him. And we're all in. Like, no one in the team is saying, oh, let's not do it. We've made the decision and we try and make it happen.
Do you think Robert Garcia stays with AJ if the fight's made? Because he was hesitant about the fight. He said, I asked him, do you think it should be next? And he said no.
Yeah, I think Robert would definitely stay in the team, and obviously AJ's got to assess the performance of the team and everything going into the next fight. But we haven't got a lot of time. going into a fight like Tyson Fury, it's best not to start changing things again and going back to the beginning. I think Robert Garcia is a very good trainer. He did a good job in the camp, and we'll see how that plays out.
Okay, one more thing I'm excited to speak to you about: Buatsi versus Callum Smith. How did this come about?
I mean, look. Firstly, that fight is definitely not done. There's a lot of people talking about that fight because it's a huge fight. We have discussed that fight with Joshua Buatsi along with a whole host of other fights. There's been no official offer to both guys to make that fight, but I would love to make that fight. Buatsi would take that fight. I believe Callum Smith would take that fight, but both guys, their priority is to fight for a world title. Obviously now with Pascal not willing to put VADA testing in the contract, we step away from that fight. So Buatsi's now looking for big fights, and Callum Smith is a tremendous domestic fight, but also everyone's in a bit of a logjam waiting for the world title. And sometimes you get two guys in your stable from the same division where you can create a massive British blockbuster, and Callum Smith Buatsi is that.
Okay, and then last one, I spoke to Yard as well, and he mentioned a fight with Buatsi would be better. Obviously, your comments in the past have been it should be now, but he said it should be better for an undisputed. Would that be ideal or now?
Oh, wow, to do that, Yard's got to win a world title and unify, and I don't know. I just think that sometimes a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, and that fight can get made now. I've spoke to George Warren about that fight. Like, we would both actually like that fight, but we also understand that people want to challenge for world titles, but timing is everything, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, last word on this weekend?
It's a really good show. I mean, look, obviously disappointed Wood Lara's not here, but really good fight in the lightweight division. Maxie Hughes, with this win, can really take him into the realms of some huge fights. And Kid Galahad, coming back off the knockout, really his career's on the line. Brilliant women's fight, ranking against Harper, chance for Terry to become a two-division champion, and loads of young talent on the card coming through as well.
I urge everyone to watch the show or look at the announcement of October 26th as well. Thanks for your time, Eddie.